Hi, my name is Kathy Slatengren. I'm with Priceless Parenting. And today, what I want to do is give you the presentation on self-renewal best practices. I created this presentation for a local school and decided to just record it so that parents like you can also enjoy it. If you want to know more about Priceless Parenting, you definitely go to the website. I started in 2008. There's a lot of free content there, articles, charts, all sorts of good stuff, online parenting classes. So you're welcome to check that out. All right. To begin with, I want to talk about how you're feeling right now. If you had to give yourself a number of how stressed or overwhelmed you're feeling, one being I'm completely relaxed, I can't believe how just feeling awesome I am. 10 being I'm so stressed out I can hardly stand it. Where would you put yourself? When I asked this last night, most parents were somewhere 6 and above. So feeling pretty darn stressed. So that's what we're going to talk about today is how do we handle ongoing stress, which all of us have in our lives. We're going to look at what is self-renewal, what stresses are you experiencing, what's your life telling you needs attention, what are some of your daily self-care practices, and what changes would you like to make? So self-renewal, these are activities that help energize and inspire you. And each of us are going to have different things that we find energizing. It might be doing art. It might be meditating, yoga, singing, running. And I'm sure you can add some of your own that you find that really energize you. So when we have energy, then we have the capability to be resilient. It's the ability for us to bounce back when things get tough. We also have grit, the ability to keep going even though there are challenges. So that's why self-renewal is so important. If we don't have that energy, when we hit these barriers and these problems, we don't have the energy to push through in a healthy way. So we are in times that are unprecedented. We are all experiencing a lot of different stress and a lot of common stresses. Besides your own personal stress, we are dealing with the COVID-19, people working from home that haven't been working from home before, homeschooling, even though you didn't sign up for homeschooling, you're doing it now because your kids need help from home. We've had racial injustice protests, fires and floods, fueled by climate change. The United States has had protests and some violent attacks. We have political division in our country and in other countries. So what stresses besides these are you experiencing? If we were together, I would be looking to the chat for your answers or having you chime in. But since we're recording this, just go ahead and think about all the stresses that are coming in and why your number is what it is when I asked you before. So some of the effects you can see and know that you're experiencing stress are reflected here. The guy who's awake at 3:25 in the morning, I can totally relate to that. Instead of sleeping and getting your much needed rest, you're like, woke up and have all the worries right there in your head. Maybe you can relate to this lady who's eating the whole darn piece of chocolate cake, the whole cake, watching a bunch of Netflix. There's a lady who's got a nice big glass of wine, but doesn't look all that happy. Sometimes when we're stressed, there's headaches, a lack of motivation. The guy who's just on the couch, he's eating, drinking, and has no motivation to do anything that would push him towards some of the goals. Or maybe you find yourself fighting. Here's a couple that's fighting. So there's a lot of ways stress is acted out in our lives in less than healthy ways. And sometimes when we feel stress, what we do is we choose unhealthy coping strategies. And for some of us, it's going to be eating junk food. Others of us, it might be shopping online or in person, going and shopping and buying a bunch more stuff. Some of us are going to want to control the situation. If I could only control my kids and my spouse and everybody else, I'd be okay. Some of us turn to drugs, alcohol. Some of us turn to tech. We just get lost in technology, in scanning through what other people are posting. Sometimes it's like looking at the news. I'll find if I'm being unhealthy, I am spending way too much time just looking at what's going on. And while I want to stay informed, sometimes I spend way too much time doing that. Maybe it's gambling. So what's true is our brains are susceptible to addiction. We are all susceptible to addiction. We get these triggers, which are the stresses in our lives. We'll feel a craving. And then with the craving, we go into some ritual where we use our technique of preference for kind of reducing our feelings of stress, but we know it's not healthy. And then we get guilty, and then we go round and around. And what happens is, so maybe when I get triggered, the thing I crave is a glass of wine. And even though I'm like, okay, I'll have one glass of wine. What happens once you get into the cycle is your brain is never satisfied with one glass. Once you've had that one glass, it's like, hey, you know what you need? Second glass. That's what you need. You deserve it. You need it. And pretty soon you're in this addiction cycle. So knowing that that's how our brains work, we need to interrupt it before we get to the addictions, to totally being addicted, because then it is much, much harder to break. So these are unhealthy coping strategies, which also can lead us to physical disease. And dis-ease used to be how it was described. It's when we're feeling uncomfortable, we're not in ease. And when we can't help ourselves, and in healthier ways, the dis-ease that we're feeling can become a physical disease. And so that's why it is so critical that we have healthy coping strategies, because we are all going to experience stress. Life has stress. All right, now I want to take a moment to look at what is calling for your attention right now. And what I want you to do is place your hands over your heart, soften your gaze or close your eyes, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And I want you to listen for the answers that arise within you. So the first question is, how do I feel? How do I feel? And next, what do I need? What do I need? And finally, what is my heart's greatest desire at this time? What is my heart's greatest desire at this time? So, as you reflect on that, it's hard to take care of yourself if you don't regularly check in with yourself and know, like, how am I feeling? How am I feeling right now? And what is it I need? So if my kid comes up to me and says, hey, can I go over to Tyler's for dinner? It's like, how am I feeling about that? And sometimes you might have to say, I needed some time to think about that. I need a few minutes. You don't always have to answer your kids right away. And you have to check in with yourselves, like, how am I feeling? Boy, I'm concerned about COVID. I don't know that I want my kid over at Tyler's house for dinner because they'll have masks off, and I'm just not comfortable with that. Maybe that's how I'm feeling. But I need to, what is it I need? I need to feel safe. Maybe I need to call Tyler's parents and find out what's, how their family's doing it. Maybe they're going to actually be eating outside. I don't know. But maybe I need to check in with them. So that's the kind of questions we can ask ourselves so that we're in touch with what it is we're feeling instead of kind of bumbling through the day and stressing ourselves out and not responding to our true needs. All right. There are 3 areas I want to look at of self-renewal. And there's you, mind, body, spirit. And we are connected. We are connected. I think there was a time, I know there was a time when I was younger where it was really like thought of as like, oh, here's your head and it's not really connected to your body. You can just kind of deal with your head and not worry about your body. And it is absolutely critical that we understand that we are connected mind, body, and spirit. So what I'm thinking affects my body. It does. And so how I'm feeling, how I'm processing, what I'm doing for myself, it's all interconnected. So I'm going to give you some examples of things you might be doing for self-renewal. And again, think about what you are doing, and you might have some of these that you are doing, some that you would add. So for my body, getting enough sleep, taking a nap, eating healthy food, biking, hiking, swimming, running, taking a hot bath or shower. For my mind, it might be learning new things, reading or watching something inspirational, doing daily puzzles, daily crosswords, the Sudoku, playing the piano. Maybe I play the guitar, some sort of music. For my spirit, it might be meditating or praying, singing, dancing, doing yoga, painting, drawing, sewing, knitting, creating something out of wood or out of other materials. Maybe it's saying no to a request. Maybe when I'm overwhelmed, I'm saying no, taking care of myself that way. Gardening, cooking, baking, getting together with friends. That can be helpful. And keeping a gratitude journal or having some sort of gratitude practice. So what activities are you doing for your mind, body, and spirit? And wherever this is posted, if there's a ability to write comments, I always welcome your comments. So that's kind of how we can keep ourselves centered. And ideally, you have daily practices. And when you're not under stress, it's a great time to keep going with your daily practices, because when you're under stress, these are the practices that are going to keep you connected and solid and in a better place. So for example, I was just going to share my some of my self-renewal activities I do every day. So before I get out of bed, I do stretches. I happen to have a less than ideal back, and I've been doing this for years. It feels great. So I do that. And every single thing I do, I like doing. It makes me feel better. So this is not, and I want you to think about what things make you feel better, because you are not going to be able to keep up with a daily practice if you really dread it. You're going to find a way to stop doing it. So when we're doing things that support ourselves, it needs to make us feel good. So yes, I do stretches before I get out of bed. I do a daily meditation. Then someone gave me a deck of cards, which is kind of fun. So I pull a card. Then finally I get out of bed. Somewhere in the day, I do Donna Eden's energy routine. It's like 3-4 minutes, and it really helps. It kind of make me feel better, even though it's a little goofy. If you try it, it's a little goofy, but you've got tons of YouTube videos to show you how to do it. Then another thing I like to do is either play my flute or play the piano. That makes me feel great. I always go on a walk for about an hour. I luckily live near a beautiful trail along the river, so makes it easy to get out. I go rain or shine, and I just enjoy getting out and walking. Getting into nature, a lot of people added really helps them. And then before I go to bed, I like to play these chimes. Super easy to play, super fun, just pretty music, these Koshi chimes. I love a hot bath, so I do that every night. And then I have a prayer and gratitude practice I do at the very end before I go to sleep. So those are my self-renewal activities. And I invite you to think about what it is you do and what it is you might want to add. So now the plot thickens. I'm keeping myself balanced. That's great. Or you're keeping yourself balanced, but you're not in your own little Zen bubble where nothing ever happens. And we've got all sorts of other people who impact us. And these relationships are part of our well being or part of our stress. So we are in relation with each other and we need each other. We are connected. This past year has definitely shown us how connected we are with COVID-19 and how, yeah, we're connected. We're connected to each other in multiple ways. So these relationships can be extremely helpful to us. We all need friends that nourish us, that support us, that are there for us, that have our best interest in mind, that will accept us as we are, warts and all, where they're just there for us. That is a big, huge buffer against stress when we have friends like that. And then we also have to be able to set boundaries in our relationships. So part of the stress of relationships is that people are going to ask us for things that we may or may not be able to do. It may or may not work for us in the things we need to do to take care of ourselves. So we have to be able to set boundaries. And when you set a boundary, people are going to likely be disappointed because you're not going to be doing something they would like you to do. So for example, one of the things I need sleep. When I don't get sleep, I get sick. And so sleep is pretty important. So say I decide for myself that I want to be in bed at 10. And that means I not like a hot bath. So 9:30, I'm going to have to go upstairs, take a bath. So say now my son, it comes to me, it's like 9:20. And my son says, I've got a big project. It's due like tomorrow and I need help. Okay. So he's got a request. He wants some help from me. What do I do in this situation? And if I'm thinking about protecting my sleep and saying, wait a second, I think I'm going to set a boundary here. So I check in with myself like, yep, he's left it to the last minute and I am happy to help him tomorrow. And I'm going to honor the boundary I have with myself, the agreement I have with myself that I'm going to get to bed by 10. So that means I need to stop at 9:30 and go up and take a bath. So I say to him, I get that you have this project due tomorrow and wow, you need some help. And it's 9:20 and I've got to don't have the time right now to help you. I could help you tomorrow morning. Right now, I have to say goodnight to you and go up and take my bath. Now, is my son going to say, oh, mom, impressive use of boundaries. Wow. No, he's not going to say that. He's going to say, but mom, I need your help. I need it now. I don't know how to do this. And I'm going to have to go back and say, I can see you're stressed out. I can see this is really difficult and I'll help you tomorrow. I'll even get up 15 minutes earlier if that's helpful and be able to help you tomorrow morning. So I'm going to reinforce the boundary I have. I can expect that when I set a boundary, people are going to complain. And by setting a boundary, what I really do is I have my own back. I am willing to stand up for myself. And if you aren't willing to stand up for yourself, no one else is going to stand up for you. It just doesn't happen. So when we have our own backs, that's when we can protect the things that we need to keep us healthy. All right. Some renewal activities for relationships are shown here. So having dinner together. We need time to actually have relationships that work well. We actually have to spend time together. And as a family, doing fun things, having dinner, cleaning up, cooking together is awesome. Hiking together, playing games, reading together. Having family meetings is another wonderful way to get together as a family. And I'm going to try to show you this family meetings. This is a chart that is available on my website. And so let me just see if I can share my browser. And what I'm not sure of is if I'm actually sharing my browser. So it says I'm screen sharing, but I'm not 100% convinced. So hopefully you can see this. And if not, where I am is I went to pricelessparenting.com and I'm looking at resources, looking at charts, and just showing you that there's a number of charts that are available for free. Just you can print them out, and there is the one on family meetings. And there's also, if you click here, it's below the chart is an article about how do you run family meetings, so that it's actually fun for everyone. All right, so back to the renewal activities. I'm going to end with asking you, what is one new habit that could increase your well-being? And think about your number and where you're at with handling stress. And I always like to start small, because when we try to start big, we tend to commit to things that we really aren't going to be able to follow through on. So start with just one new habit that would increase your well-being. Think about that, write it down, and commit to doing that new habit every day. And then see in a week what change you feel like it's made in your life. And you might choose something that is awesome. You might choose something that needs some adjustment, but get one new habit established. And then when you're ready, you can add the second one. All right. I appreciate you listening to this presentation. And if you have questions or comments or need additional help, resources, feel free to either call or email me. Thank you.